Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum, students. Welcome, Pakistan International School Taif Virtual Learning System. This lecture is for grade first year boys and girls, Pakistan culture. And you know that we have started chapter 3. Today also we will continue chapter 3, the making of Pakistan. This is your reduced syllabus, the making of Pakistan. The first topic which we have done, the Arab period, foundation of Islamic society, we have discussed in detail. In the previous lecture, we discussed socio-political decline, socio-economic setbacks, and today we will discuss the beginning of Muslim resurgence, revival of the beginning of Muslims revival, steps towards socio-economic uplift, struggle for homeland. Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan. These topics which we will discuss today, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah Qaid-e-Azam, the birth of Pakistan, we will discuss in the next lecture. First of all, a little review or the little revision of the previous lecture, socio-political decline. First Aurangzeb death in 1777. Within 50 years of Aurangzeb's death in 1777, it can be asked in MCQs, a company of foreign merchants acquired control of the political and economic resources of nearly half of the country, and 100 years later in 1857, the rise of the European trading also we discussed in the previous lecture, how they came for the trade purpose in the coastal area Bombay, Madras and Bengal towards the early 18th century, and though seemingly without any political significance, and the much awaited opportunity to the influential Hindu merchant and trading community. Socio-political change in Persia and Afghanistan since the beginning of the 18th century not only cut asunder a century-old links with the region which had provided the Muslim society of its spiritual and cultural sinew, but also, in fact, also aggravated the psychological and political chaos with beset the Muslims of the subcontinent. A reform movement by Shah Waliullah and Shah Abdul Aziz. On that time, the Shah Waliullah and Shah Abdul Aziz came a great Muslim thinker, sought to rescue the Muslim society from its growing weakness and the impending challenges, and his twofold objectives. What kind of objectives were moral and religious reconstruction of the Muslim society alongside with political recovery. Jihad movement, it was a first mass political movement, and it was started Sayyid Ahmad and Shah Ismail, who invoked jihad, holy war against the Sikh and the British. Although jihad movement was not successful and couldn't achieve or succeed in achieving precise goals, and Sikh remain in control of vast area in the Punjab and Northwest, and War of Independence, the outbreak of the War of Independence, 1857, attributed to a variety of factors, unmistakably all its inspirational basis and operational spirit from the extensive as well as intensive campaigning by the 80th and earlier 90th century Muslims reforms and revivalists. The role of ulama and the different sermons in the mosques and the circulation of the mysterious chapati bread from village to village, Bengal to Sindh, and from remote madrasa to the northern hills was, in fact, this was a silent indication of adherence of the cause and a secret device of the ulama to rally a millet for the impending struggle against the British. What was the result? All these movement or the failure of the movement was foredoomed because of the extremely or extensive military organization and superior resources of the British. The Muslims were failed in this movement. But why it was failed? Because the British, they were organized, military organized, and they were having extra resources, superior resources if we compare to the Muslims. The Muslims were lacked in both. So the British retribution on the Muslims was both severe and savage. They were hunted down, and the Mughals were completely liquidated, and organizers of the movement, the ulema, the chief of principalities, the zamindar, and the other notable persons were executed or thrown off, and their homes were razed to the ground, lands resumed, property confiscated by the British, and in fact, all these elements and institutions which nourished Muslims' culture, society, and they were systematically destroyed. So this was the condition, and these were the circumstances we discussed the socio-political decline. Now today we will discuss the beginning of Muslim resurgence, the revival of the Muslims, steps towards socio-economic uplift, struggle for homeland. Today we will discuss these topics in detail. Failure of the revolutionary movement 1857. First of all, we will discuss the failure of the War of Independence, also we call the revolutionary movement 1857. We have discussed the background. The British took control from the Muslims, and the Muslims were ruling in the subcontinent from the last thousands of years. And the British first, they came for the trade purpose, and slowly and gradually they took the charge from the Muslims, and the Muslims, they were against this and the British, and they started the War of Independence and revolutionary movement, but unfortunately it was failed, and the British emerged as a undisputed masters of the subcontinent after the failure of the revolutionary movement of 1857. The havoc mean widespread destruction, a great destruction caused on the Muslim, in fact proved to be a turning point in the evolution of Muslim society, and their efforts, their religious, social systems, they move towards greater social cultural solidarity, cohesion, and became more conscious of their distinct entity as a separate nation. Being now relegated to the subordinate position with the status of a minority, they had to work out a modus vivendi means an arrangement agreement both with the British as well as Hindus, and in the process they came face to face with some new realities. Now, condition of the Muslims after the revolutionary movement, failure of the revolutionary movement 1857. What was the condition of the Muslims on that time? The British were highly distrustful of the Muslims, and as such, their policies were aimed. And the British, they were introducing such kind of policies to keep them, to keep Muslims economically, socially backward, and to destroy their legal, their social institutions, so as to shut out all avenue of their recovery and render them ineffective for any significant role in future. This was the condition of the Muslims on that time. The British, what were they trying? They were trying to destroy their social, their cultural institution. The Hindus, that they were totally against the Muslims on that time. And when the British took charge or control or the government from the Muslims, the Hindus stood with the British. They helped British. They had played a major role in the overthrow of the Muslim supremacy. They now stood to reap a greater advantages from further cooperation with the British. They could now fulfill their long cherished dreams and hope to re-establish their supremacy of their society society which they had lost to the Muslim. The British, now the Hindus, they were happy, and now they stood with the British, and they wanted to fulfill their long cherished dream. And what kind of dream? To re-establish their supremacy in the society. And for this purpose, to fulfill this purpose, and they started different kind of movement against the Muslims, like the Brahmo Samaj, the Arya Samaj, and Shivaji cult. These movements, they started from the Hindus, the extremist Hindu, and which later went to such extreme as to seek the absorption of the Muslim in the Hindu society, and even their expulsion from the land. One of the more sinister moves was to agitate for the replacement of Urdu. Also, the Hindus started a proper campaign against Urdu. Urdu Hindi controversy, we called it. It started in 1867. Used both the um, even their expulsion from the land. One of the more controversy or that was started from the Hindu against Urdu, used both by the Hindus and the Muslims in lower courts and offices with the Hindu language in 1867, with Persian already substituted in 1835 by the British. And this would have caused further economic and social setback. And this was like a proper attack on Muslims' language, Urdu, to the Muslim, besides cutting their ascender from their cultural moorings. Now we will discuss Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. Now I have told you, and we discussed on that time the condition of the Muslim, that was we discussed in detail now, and also the circumstances which the Muslims were facing on that time. A person came, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and this person came and stood forward and came forward for the Muslims' guidance, for the Muslims' help, and we can say Allah sent this person on that time for the Muslims. And unlike the setbacks suffered by the Muslims in the past, which were countered either by those who wielded political power or by the religious leader, the new situation called for a new kind of leadership, multi-dimensional in its outlook, comprehensive in its program. The task was complex and the difficult. You know, the British and Hindu, the both were the enemies of the Muslims on that time, and the situation and the condition of the Muslims I told you. So this was not easy task, difficult, and the path was long and tortuous, means full of twists and turn. This leadership came from Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, who, though hailing from a traditionally orthodox background, brought home new ideas of social reconstruction. With his understanding of the British mind and his experience of Hindu conduct, he underlined his program. What kind of program? Sir Syed Ahmad Khan program of uplift of Muslim society, and in four direction, faced out in different priorities. Also, it can be asked in short question, what was the Sir Syed program of the uplift of the Muslim society? It has four parts, or divided in four direction. The first is accommodation and adjustment with the British. On that time, Sir Syed has observed that only one solution, accommodation and adjustment with the British, so to protect the Muslim from the discrimination and denial of economic opportunities and means of subsistence. Next, adjustment between religion and science, interpreting the teaching of the Holy Quran and Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the context of the requirement of modern time, scientific knowledge, so to protect Islam from the outslaughters, destructive attack of the Christian missionaries and the Hindu revivalists. The both on that time, they were the enemy of the Muslims. So the Sir Syed tried and what to protect Islam from all these Christian missionaries and the Hindu revivalists. Number three, reorientation of learning and education as basic requirements for all progress and of and advancement. Sir Sayyid advised Muslim to pay their attention education, a basic requirement on that time, because he knew very well that the Muslims, they were back in education. So Sir Sayyid advised the Muslims to pay their attention and a reorientation of learning and education as a main, as a vital or the basic requirement for all progress and advancement, thereby leading the Muslims to Western education, scientific studies, along with learning and religious instruction. Recognition of the Muslims as distinct entities and positive factors in the country, requiring special arrangement in the context of the establishment of new self-governing institutions and constitutional reform undertaken by the government. These aspects, these 4 points, these program of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan reform movement, all interrelated, one leading to or flowing from one another, though looking upon with some misgiving and in certain quarter among the Muslim, in fact, open a new chapter in the life of the Muslims of the subcontinent, leading them to an organized life and a status as a nation. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan program for Muslims education. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan on that time advised Muslims, the Muslims of India, and he very well aware the condition of the Muslims. And Sir Syed advised the Muslims to pay attention the education and the Western education. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan's program for Muslims education with the Aligarh College 1878. It can be asked in MCQs. Later, when Sir Syed, when Aligarh College was established, 1878. Later, the Muslim University as a nucleus, and with the its offshoots, Anjuman Himayat Islam. Also, it can be asked in short question. Sir Syed efforts for the Muslims education or the program for Muslim education. So you will write this paragraph. Lahore 1884, the Sindh Madrasatul Islam, Karachi 1885, and Islamia College Peshawar 1903, besides similar institution elsewhere, went a long way in the intellectual and educational attainment of the Muslims to enable them to play an effective role in all walks of life and later to provide the required leadership to the Muslim. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, the first modern Muslim to advance the concept, the Hindus and the Muslim constituted two separate nations in subcontinent. In fact, this was inherent in the situation to require an argument, and this was becoming more and more evident by the Hindu conduct itself, despite the non-communal position adopted by the Indian National Congress in 1885. Also, it can be asked in MCQs when Indian National Congress was established or founded. It was established in 1885. There was a need for the forthright assertion on the matter and its due recognition when steps were taken for the gradual introduction of representative institution through the system of election. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan had emphasized that in representative institution, Muslim needed special arrangement, means separate electorate for the Muslim. On that time, Sir Syed demanded that the election which the British wanted to introduce in the subcontinent, that was not suitable for the subcontinent, because here the Hindus were in majority. If this system was introduced, of course the Hindus, they will in majority, and they will get all the seats in the representative institution. So Muslim needed special arrangement. The Muslims must be a separate seats and special arrangement under which they could choose their true representatives, beside having greater share in order to offset their position as a minority. He pointed out that majority government was possible only when voters belong to a same kind nation. Now you understand why we call the Sir Syed based indirect two nation theory, because this was the first step taken by the Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, a separate electorate system for the Muslims. Sir Syed explain that this type of government is not suitable. Why? That if it will be only suitable if the majority government was possible only when voters belong to only one nation or the same kind nation. But here the two majority nations, one Muslim and the other Hindus. Sir Syed Ahmad ideas were vindicated right. Sir Syed Ahmad ideas were right when a deputation of leading Muslim under the Saraga Khan presented a memorandum of the Viceroy at Shimla in October 1906. It can be asked in MCQs when All India Muslim League was established in 1906, where in Shimla, and their demand for separate representation, which demanded by the Sir Syed, and also Sir Syed demanded a separate electorate. Also, when the All India Muslim League was established, this demand for the separate representation or the separate electorate was accepted. As a follow-up of this move, the All India Muslim League was established in December 1906 at Dhaka. It was established in Dhaka, holding its first session years later in December 1907 at Karachi. Also, it can be asked, the first session of the All India Muslim League was held where? In Karachi, and when? In December 1907. And where the Muslim League was established? At Dhaka in 1906. In consequence, the first major constitutional reform introduced Minto-Marley reforms 1909. Also, it can be asked in MCQs, underline it. When the Minto-Marley reforms introduced in 1909 contain provision of separate electorate with reservation of seats for the Muslims. Thus, the status of Muslim as a distinct entity was given legal and constitutional sanction, and their position in the subcontinent as a religiously and socially separate people settled all over the land was clearly established. However, the road ahead of the realization of Muslim national aspirations was not free from hazards, from dangers, while the British had their own policies and reservation. On that time, I told you, British were ruling in subcontinent and they were having their own policies, their own reservation, and the Hindus slowly and gradually moved toward the goal of self-government. Hindu, they at the start they stood with the British, they helped British, and now also they move towards the goal of self-determination or the self-government, which clearly implied submergence of the Muslim and denial of their national aspiration. Their attitude hardened against the Muslims on the issue of partition of Bengal in 1905. Also, it can be asked in MCQs, underline when the Bengal was partitioned in two parts. It was partitioned into two parts in 1905. And the Bengal, that was a vast province and it was divided only due to administrative reasons. But the Muslims were happy because one part of Bengal, the Muslims were in majority, and the one part of Bengal, the Hindus were in majority. So when this Bengal was partitioned, divided, the Muslims were happy, but the Hindus were totally against this decision, and which created a Muslims majority province. And through a series of communal riots and terrorists from the Hindu sides, because I told you the Hindus, they were against this decision, finally succeeded in reversing the partition 1911. Also, it can be asked in MCQs. The concept of pan-Islamism of Jamaluddin Afghani, and added dismay for the Muslims was the gradual dissolution of the Turkish Caliph. Apart from their sentimental attachment with their Muslim brethren, they were deeply wedded to the concept of unity, brotherhood, solidarity of the Muslim Ummah, that is the concept of pan-Islamism of Jamaluddin Afghani. Then the Balkan Wars, it was started 1911 and it was finished in 1913, and later the First World War. Also, it can be asked in MCQs. It was started the First World War in 1914 and it was ended in 1919, in which the British were involved against Turkey, created a dilemma of the Muslims. On that time, the British were ruling in the subcontinent, and they were against Turkey. And on that time, Turkey was a vast created. Turkey was created a dilemma for the Muslims, subordinating their own socio-political aspiration for a time are those of the Turks. The Muslims of the subcontinental launched a powerful mass agitation. Why the Muslims started a Khilafat movement? Because on that time, these holy places, the Makkah and Medina, and they were under Turkey, and Turkey was a vast territory having a vast areas. And so when the British were against Turkey, the Muslims of India, they started a movement, and it was called Khilafat movement. And who started this movement? Maulana Muhammad Ali Johor and Maulana Shaukat Ali. And this movement came to nothing as the caliphate was later, because Kamal Ataturk also abolished the caliph in 1924. So there was no need for this Khilafat movement. The Muslims of the subcontinent learned how to organize after this movement. They learn how to organize themselves and make sacrifice for a cause, an experience which was later used successfully during the struggle for Muslims' homeland in during Khilafat movement. Two mark trends, or the general two mark general direction. These were in the later course of events. There were two mark trends, or the two direction, one leading to the revitalization of the new life of the religion social basis of the rival Hindu and Muslim communities, and the other one is realization of their national objectives through constitutional and legislative arrangements with the British. Both of these came into a complex maze, confused of a triangular dialogue between Hindus, Muslim, British points and counterpoints, understanding and lack of understanding, strain and tensions. Much dependent on the leadership which both the Hindus and the Muslims were able to produce, and the direction which they could provide for attainment of their respective goal. The Hindus had an array of capable leaders, both within and outside the Indian National Congress, who could, through constitutional and extra constitutional means, lead their community to the realization of its dream self-government, ensuring them the majority rule. But the Muslim leadership since Sayyid Ahmad Khan died in 1898 had lacked both in its direction and priorities, though it was able to achieve two major landmarks. What landmarks? What kind of? That is the one, the establishment of the All India Muslim League, and number two, the acceptance of the principle of separate electorate. Why the establishment? Because the establishment of All India Muslim League in 1906, and it was established in Dhaka deputation. And the other one, the principle of separate electorate, separate seats should be reserved for the Muslims in the legislative. Okay, why we are saying the establishment of the All India Muslim League? Because establishment of the Muhammadan Educational Conference to motivate the Muslims for acquiring modern knowledge. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan established Muhammadan Educational Conference in the year 1886. Annual meeting of this conference were held at the different important places throughout India. The Muslim League was founded in 1906 in the annual meeting of the conference held at Dhaka, which was based by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan Mohammedan Educational Conference. This was the reason we are saying that Sir Syed gave, and Sir Syed had lacked both in its direction and priorities, and it was able to achieve two major landmarks. Because landmarks, that is the establishment of All India Muslim League, because All India Muslim League was established in the Mohammedan Educational Conference, the annual session of Mohammedan Educational Conference, and which was based by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. And the separate electorate system, Sir Syed also demanded that there should be a separate seat, special arrangement for the Muslims. Indirectly, Sir Syed based the two-nation theory. Okay, students, hope you understand today's lecture. Revise this topic at home and also learn this topic. Have a nice day. Thank you.